YouTube, what is good? We're back for another episode of Marvin's Room. Thank you guys, as always, for joining me once again, wherever you're at in the world. To the new subscribers, welcome. My name is Marvin, and I'm a law of attraction, law of assumption, whatever you guys want to call it, because I know you guys want to use different names, but I am a manifesting coach, and I'm using the teachings of Neville Goddard, Abraham Hicks, Joseph Murphy, Catherine Ponder, Florence Scovel Shin, etc., to help you guys manifest the lives and the dreams, etc., that you want to live. So thank you guys once again for coming back to the channel and tuning in and subscribing. Always the best. Wish you guys always the best. I wanted to jump in here today and talk to you guys about something that I always get, and I know I'm sure other YouTube coaches get, etc., and that is, should you persist, or I guess should you, give up persisting on whatever it is that you want to manifest? And my answer to that question is kind of, it depends. I am someone where I firmly believe that there is no one size fits all, and I will say this, that in some instances, when I will tell a person that they should not persist anymore, is basically when I see that that person is struggling and they're really turning this law of attraction, law of assumption, when they're turning manifesting into a job. And when I realize a person is turning manifesting into a job, because I preach this to anyone I work with one-on-one, or I preach it on my channel, I tell you guys, you cannot make this stuff into a job. And when I see a person doing that, I will tell them to kind of dial it back on persisting. And this is really what I guess this is really what the answer is, as far as should you persist or should you, quit on whatever it is you want to manifest. I would say you never actually really want to give up and stop persisting. But I think the real question is how much you should persist on what it is that you're trying to manifest. I think that's the real question, because again, when I see people trying too hard, this is a telltale sign to me, and this is what shows me why most people aren't getting what they want. Is because they think every day they have to wake up and they have to, do this and do that. And it's extremely frustrating to them when they don't see results, when they want to see it. And then they start to think, oh, maybe am I doing something wrong? Or am I doing this, or am I doing that? And then they kind of start to go downhill, etc. So when I see people in those types of situations, I just tell them, look, dial it back. If you're doing this stuff every day, dial it back to maybe, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, because you should never not persist in what it is that you want to manifest. But if you're trying to manifest and you're trying to persist in something every day, it's going to feel draining. It's going to feel work. It's going to feel like work. And also too, something that I tell people as well is, you should stop persisting, in a sense, is if your manifestation isn't coming from your God self necessarily, and your manifestation is coming from your ego. If your manifestation is coming from your ego and not your God self, then I think you should stop persisting as well. Because Neville mentioned something like that in one of his books. I forget what book it was, but Neville mentioned something like, sin is missing the mark. Sin is not what we think sin is. Sin is not realizing that, your assumption is already there. Your manifestation is already hardened in the fact, etc. That's what sin is. Sin is when you are trying to force, your visualization, rather than just knowing that it's already done from your God self, your higher self, etc. And I really can't remember what book I will put the links below, but I don't want to misinterpret you guys or have you guys read the wrong book. But yeah, Neville basically mentions that in one of his books, and he says that's what sin is, and if you guys are trying to manifest stuff from the ego, I will tell you 100% to stop persisting in whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, because it's coming from, basically, when you manifest with the ego, you're manifesting from a place of lack. It's not going to be what you want, and you're probably going to end up manifesting something with a lot of problems. And I've seen that so many times with people. For instance, manifesting from the ego is, for instance, I know, and this is I've talked to a lot of people around the world now, and even one of my mentors, has told me this. And a big collective consciousness, for instance, is women wanting to change men. This is a big thing, you know what I mean? And so if you are with someone, or you want to manifest a person back just so you can say, oh, I changed him, you know, I was the one that made him love the right way. I was the one that made him do this. I was the one that made him do that. You see how that's coming from a place of selfishness, a place of, oh, he changed because of me. And it's basically you're giving yourself all of the glory, et cetera, et cetera. When you manifest from the ego, from a perspective of that viewpoint, I would tell you 100% to stop persisting, because you have to make sure your manifestations are coming from a place that's beneficial to yourself and beneficial to all parties who are involved. And Neville mentions that as well. It's kind of like the golden rule: do unto others as you want them to do to you. You know what I'm saying? So if your manifestation is only benefiting you, but it's not benefiting another party, this is something you want to seriously take into account too. Because again, Florence Scovel Shinn mentions this in one of her books, and I've mentioned this in other videos as well. Things ill-gotten, things with the will are ill-gotten. And the will is basically kind of like your ego. You know what I'm saying? So Florence Scovel Shinn was very big on, I guess, saying things like, in a perfect way, manifesting things. And she would say affirmation. And when she would say her affirmation, she would say under grace in a perfect way, because she knows that people can get what they want, but it could come in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? She knows that you can manifest the SP, but you can manifest your SP in a bad way, et cetera, et cetera. So Florence Scovel Shinn was very big on using those key words, under grace, in a perfect way, so that the manifestations could come from the God state, and not the ego state. Because I realize so many people are manifesting. We're manifesting with our egos. We want stuff because of our egos. You know what I'm saying? And when we get these things, it's not as satisfying as we really thought it would be. And so that's why I wanted to jump on here and explain to you guys to persist in what you want. Persist in what you want only if it's beneficial to you and everyone involved. Persist in what you want if you know it's genuine, if you know it's coming from your God state, if you know it's coming from a good, heartfelt place, and not from a place of, I was right. I want to prove my ego right. I want to do this. I want to manifest a happy birthday text. I want to manifest him begging to be with me. Because a lot of these things you guys want to do with a specific person or whatever it may be, a lot of these things are ego based, and this is why a lot of times it creates so much friction between what you actually want versus what's showing up in your life, is because there's just a separation, and you're trying to manifest basically using your heart and your mind. And I've talked about this in other videos in the past, where there's no brain-heart coherence. And when there's no brain-heart coherence, it's very hard to manifest a lot of times, because your mind is telling you one thing, but your heart is telling you another thing, and your mind usually is where your ego is. It's where your will is. It's where you think, oh, how could this person do this to me? Or how could, why did that happen? When you start questioning stuff, that's your ego, and a lot of times you want to manifest things just to get back, just so your ego feels safe, just so your ego can say, look, you were right. And so many people in the world, I realize, they care more about being right than they care about having peace. And that's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's okay to be right, in certain instances, but I also believe that having your peace is way more important than being right about things. Sometimes you got to know when to just walk away, or whatever the case may be. Being right at times can cost you your peace. And I want you guys to always remember that, so like I said, man, just to recap, persist only if it's coming from the right place, not from your ego, but from the heart, from your God state, because your heart knows the truth always. And, and I'm not going to say don't persist when things aren't working out for you, but I'm going to say dial back persisting. So if you're persisting 7 days a week for months, etc., like I said, you're turning it into a job, maybe dial it back to 3 or 4 days a week, so you guys can get back on track, so you guys can start to feel easy about it. Because a lot of times you guys create anxiety by thinking you have to do something every day. You create anxiety by thinking the only way to get fast results is by doing something every day. When that's not true. You get fast results by the faster you can live in the wish fulfilled and feel your feeling, et cetera, et cetera. That's how you get fast results. It's not about how many days a week you do it. It's not about how often you do it. One good time of feeling it real can manifest many things in your life. You know what I'm saying? Versus someone else over here who doesn't feel it, who doesn't really feel it real, but they're doing it every day. You know what I'm saying? I want you guys to work smarter, not harder. And working smarter is getting into that feeling it real of whatever it is that you want. That's where the power is. Or if it's affirmations for you, because again, everyone's different. You know what I'm saying? So whatever works for you to get you in that end scene, to feel it real, whether it's affirmations, whether it's visualizations, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's, SATS technique from Neville, do what works for you. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone's different. And that's what's going to help you get those results, but don't overdo it. If you need to go general, go general. Instead of saying your specific person, always wants you and loves you and desires you. If you don't believe that, then go general. Say, isn't it wonderful that all my relationships are easy? Isn't it wonderful that men and women both comply to me? Start to say things like that to take the focus and take the importance, like I said in my other video recently that I posted, take the importance off of what it is that you're trying to manifest, because putting importance on things is what keeps your manifestations at bay as well. You know what I'm saying? Go general, be easy, have fun with this stuff, guys. You have to have fun with this, because not having fun with it, turning it into a job, this is going to create resistance. This is what's going to delay your manifestation. All right? Just want to jump in here and share that with you guys. I hope you guys learned something good and valuable. Remember, persist, persist, persist when it's coming from the right place, when your heart's in the right place and your mind's in the right place. If you got to dial it back, dial it back. It's been another episode of Marv's Room. I'll check you guys next time. You know where, you know when.